brand new Synergy Syn20IR on the bench today. This has been a long-awaited product from Synergy since they first announced it. I want to say a year or two ago. It's finally in production and available to order now. It is an integrated module loader, power amp, and IR loader all in one. You have a single slot where you can load in any two-channel Synergy module that you like. I've got my all-time favorite module, the Bogner Überschall module, loaded in here at the moment, and we heard that in that opening blast. There is also a built-in clean channel with two controls. You've got a volume and tone control. You've got your module over here, and very interestingly, there is this new Reactance control on here with 3 different voicings, the idea being that it's going to emulate the presence and negative feedback structure of different classic power amps. And you can toggle through those with those little soft buttons on here. You can change channels on the unit itself, as we can see there, and you can even change through the built-in impulse responses on here. On the back, you do have an emulated line out via an XLR cable, so you've got IR loading and power amp simulation on that, similar to a bunch of the other products that Boutique Amps Distribution make, like the Soldano Astro or the X88IR, which I've demoed on the channel recently. There's a USB connection on the back so that you can hook this up to the Synergy software editor and manage not only the built-in impulse responses, but you can save the different channels and recall them via MIDI. It does come with a MIDI cable and a MIDI compatible foot switch. So for example, if you wanted to have your very first channel be the first channel of the module with the structure on the very first setting, you can do that and then recall a different structure setting, channel setting, and IR on any of the 128 built-in MIDI presets. There's a lot to get through on this. I will take a look at the editor a little later on. There's a built-in effects loop on here, which we will hear. But for now, though, I mostly want to have a blast with 2 of my favorite modules. We've got the Überschall in there, and we're going to hear the 2CP a little later. The first thing that I really want to demonstrate on here is this Reactance control. So I am running this into my favorite Marshall 4x12 with 25-watt greenbacks, mic'd up with a single SM57 at the moment. We will hear the IR output on here in just a little bit, but the Reactance control and voicing is pretty powerful on here, and I think depending on the module that you're using and the tones you're chasing, you're going to be able to really use that to fine-tune the sound of the module and also the feel. Let's start out, say, on the channel A of the Überschall. I've set this up with some more mid-range, basically going for that mid to late 80s hair metal tone that we all know and love so much. I'm going to start with the Reactance control in the middle, and I'm on the first voicing. through the manual and take a look at the description Synergy are going to give you. Based on my experience with this, to me, the first voicing of the structure control is pretty neutral sounding. That's what I'm used to the module sounding like when I run it with my Synergy Power Amp and the Syn 2. The second voicing on there is a lot more kind of suited to modern tones. There's a lot more beef. It's a little spongier feeling. I'm guessing it's inspired by stuff like a rectifier voicing on there. It really brings that red mode on the Überschall to life for me. And then the third voicing is definitely a lot more old school. I feel like that would be really well suited if you were using some of the lower gain modules on there. If you want to hear it with the clean channel, which we will do right now, I'm just going to grab a Strat. Clean channel is pretty straightforward. There's a volume and a tone control on it. The reactance control and the structure voicing on here are going to come into play. So this isn't really designed to be a super versatile do-it-all clean channel. It's more as a complement to the module that you've got on there. If you only need a clean sound here and there during your regularly kind of high gain rock gig, it will definitely do the job. You could also use it to run pedals into if you want some alternative sounds, or you have a big pedal board and you want to be able to experiment with, say, some of the lower gain modules in the Synergy ecosystem, but then just also have a super kind of neutral clean sound. I'm going to cycle through the three different structure voicings. Neck pickup. A very serviceable clean sound on there. I have swapped in the Synergy 2CP module, and we'll hear the clean channel on that dialed in for a bit of grit. To my ears, the 20IR clean channel stays as a very clean, and it's not really designed for edge of breakup or low gain drive sounds, whereas if you've got a module with a dedicated clean channel like the 2CP, you can really dial in that extra grit on there. Let's just hear them side by side with the same structure and reactance settings. Take a look at the software editor and hear the IR outputs on this, we do have to hear the red mode of the 2CP set up for the typical tight 80s thrash settings that these are so good at. I'll cycle through the three different reactance voicings with it as well. This is pretty wild that you can get basically a 20-watt 2C plus in here with an added clean channel and IR loading. I love the way this sounds. the editor for the Syn20IR, very similar to the editors for, say, the Soldano Astro and X88 or the Friedman IR series of pedals on here. You can select the channels on the head using the channel switch up here. You can also control the structure voicing with the editor. And of course, if you can do it with the editor, you can do it with MIDI on here. I'll show you how I've got this set up. You can also choose to have the bypass on the IR engaged or off. So if you just want to run this, say, into another cab IR loader and not use the built-in IRs, you can get rid of those. Of course, for every program in here, you can select between 4 different built-in IRs, and you can load any IRs that you like into these slots. So I've got the Überschall module in there again. Let's do this. Let's hear the blue mode of the Überschall module. I can select the different structure switches on here and select different IRs. I've got my own IR loaded in here. At the moment, you can even use some high and low pass filters on here, and these can all be saved and recalled with MIDI via the program. So I'm actually just going to go through a couple of the different programs. Essentially, what I'm changing in here is just the position of the structure switch and the channel on there. So you can see on there that each program on here, I've saved a combination of the IRs. I basically use one IR for everything. So I was using the same IR there. I could save different IR positions per program, but I'm basically changing the channel and the structure together on there so that I can recall them at any one time. There is a list of MIDI CCs in here, so you can remotely control via MIDI CCs the channel, structure, IR selection, the high and low pass filters, and the position of the IR bypass on here if you want to, or you can just use MIDI program changes. The Syn20IR does ship with a MIDI controller and a 7-pin MIDI cable on here, so you can plug in your favorite settings with the software and basically build a totally customizable multi-channel, multi-voicing app out of this setup. On top of all of that, it is also super compact and pretty light. I can pick it up with just my thumb, but that is one of my many hidden talents. Don't try this at home, kids. And of course, you can load in different modules. That is the whole appeal of the Synergy ecosystem, having an all-in-one amplifier and a direct solution on here. I really hope Synergy are going to go in this direction in the future with everything and maybe release 50 and 100 watt versions of this. I'd love to hear from all of you what the ideal form factor for something like this, where you've got the best of both worlds in having a solution where you can swap in different modules for different tones and different situations. You have a tube amplifier in there to drive your favorite cabinets, but you've also got modern features like IR loading and the structure control on there to customize the voicing of the amp and go DI easily. Like, would a 50 watt version that can load 2 modules or a 100 watt version that could load 4 modules be your cup of tea? Let me know in the comments section below. And thank you so much for watching the video. Thanks to Synergy for getting this head out to me so I can make a bunch of filthy guitar noises. And if you like what I'm doing here on the channel, my Patreon and the filthy rock music that I make with my band Ragdoll are in the video description. See you on the next one.